Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, and I'm joined as always by Tim.
Yellow.
And this is the moment that many of you have been waiting for, because
Mm.
we are finally going to do our worst 10 horror movies of 2019. And I know you look at the calendar, you're thinking to yourself, it's March. It's like near the end of March. Why are we doing this now? Because so many horror movies don't become available or easy to get, until February, January time. So we give ourselves a couple months at the start of the year to catch up and fill in some of those blanks. We don't see everything, of course, because there's just far too many movies that come out, but we try and see as many as we can so that we do our top 10 and our worst 10 that we have seen as many and we are most as well informed as possible to make this decision. So this is a combined list. Me and Tim sat down and we compared our notes. We decided between ourselves what the top 10 worst horror movies of 2019 were. And what a ride.
Surprisingly, it wasn't that hard.
Yeah, it wasn't that hard. There wasn't much we disagreed on with this one. We both had the same one for number one immediately without even thinking about it. So that tells you how bad that is. The top five in particular was really easy to do. There is one or two in the lower end of this list that only Tim saw, but he was so passionate about hating them that there was no way they weren't going to make it on there. So there's a couple early on that are just from Tim. But so without further ado, let's get into this. So number 10 on the worst horror movies of 2019 is Head Count. Head Count is a movie that is here kind of for a special reason in that the premise of the film is actually very promising. And we were really frustrated by this. This is probably the most frustrating movie of this 10 because you can see how it could be great because they have this really great premise of like there's someone's pretending to be someone else, so there's like an extra person there occasionally whenever this group of people are split up. There's like, oh, is there an extra one there? Or there should only be five, but there's such a great, and there's like one great moment about a third of the way in that got me excited about the rest of the movie, and then nothing, just bleh, bleh.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it just hurts like a little bit more, especially when you just have such a great premise and so much promise, and it just feels so wasted and squandered. It just hurts a little bit more versus we see so many kind of middle of the road generic stuff where you know what it is going in, but it really stinks when you kind of hear about something that sounds like it should be something more than it is, and then it just does nothing with the premise, and then delves into like really dumb bullshit that you don't care about, and it's a shame.
Yep, it hurts. Number 9 is one that's just from Tim, and this is 3 from Hell, which for some reason Tim watched, even though he didn't have to do it for the show. I don't know what he was asking for, but this was Rob Zombie's movie from last year.
Hey, I mean, we're all quarantined here. We got to find some way to pass the time. But I mean, Rob Zombie comes out with a new movie. I do feel like it is our duty to have it represented on this list because going in, maybe I'm biased, but I knew it was probably gonna make it. So this is actually part of a trilogy. So it's started with House of a Thousand Corpses, and then The Devil's Rejects, and then this is kind of a follow up of that, which I think if you talk to like a lot of people with Rob Zombie or about Rob Zombie movies, there's a good amount of people that will say, yeah, I don't really like his movies, but Devil's Rejects, that's a good one. Like that's one I actually like. I can stand for, and I've probably even said that in the past, to be honest. And admittedly, I mean, out of everything he's done, that probably is the best. I haven't watched it in a long time. I'm sure eventually when we do it on this show, I'll probably go, oh wait, no, this is actually bullshit. But this is a direct follow-up from that though, but it has the same problem with every Rob Zombie movies. It's not shot well. Everything feels very grimy and dirty, but not in a like realistic way or anything. It's all feels like very manufactured, and it's trying to be extreme and in your face, and it's just really dumb. It has all the problems, all the Rob Zombie stuff that we've complained about in the past, but I don't know, it feels like amped up in this movie to a degree that is really, really annoying. And I'm sorry. I mean, if you like Rob Zombie, fine. Like, obviously, it's a style and aesthetic that we don't like. So I don't want to get down on people if they do like them, But man, this is just very like frontal, in your face, like blaring problems of like why I just don't like his stuff.
Yep. I'm dreading when we have to do it for the show, because eventually we're going to have to do this trilogy on the show because people are going to want it, and I'm not looking forward to it. So.
And essentially, there's no plot to it anyway. Like, I didn't talk about the plot, but I mean, it's the same thing as the last one. It's just like these three people that just go around killing people. There really isn't anything to it.
Yeah. So number 8, let's get another one just from Tim. This is Mary. This is the ghost on a boat.
Yeah. Again, it's just I had a lot of free time last week or so when I watched this, and then so I was trying to get more 2019 stuff in, and this has like a lot of annoying generic jump scare ghost bullshit stuff, but it feels really dumb and ramped up in this, and it has a really, really dumb plot device where it starts with Emily Mortimer like in a like police investigation room, because I guess like she's like the survivor of this horrific boat thing, and the whole movie is a flashback that she's telling the cop, and it's just like such a dumb device, like narrative device for no reason, that leads to a really dumb bullshit scene at the end, and yeah, the movie is just littered with nonsensical CGI ghost stuff, and it's really bad. It's more than, I mean, maybe it's recency bias, but this one just stuck out to me as being a little more egregious than some of the other stuff we've seen throughout the year that was a little more forgettable. But yeah. So I think there's a reason why this was in theater for like half an hour. No one ever talked about it.
Yeah, we kind of loosely said, oh, maybe we'll do that in the show at some point, and obviously other stuff came up, and it just never happened. And Tim, bless him, took the boat bullet to the chest for our sins. Number 7 is one we did do in the show, and that is Wounds, the film where Armie Hammer finds a phone that is left behind at his bar that he works at, and it's a movie about his him cheating on his girlfriend, or wanting to cheat on his girlfriend at least, and his own kind of selfish obsession and paranoia, and ultimately amounts to be nothing, is how I describe the movie. It's another frustrating one.
It had premise, is a good director, and yeah, it's just it just feels really boring. It's slow. It's just not interesting. The character is not likable. Like, I don't know. I don't really care that much about like anything that happens to him. Really,
it also doesn't feel like it actually like sticks to its premise. It feels the whole setup with the phone, and like, oh, he's going to get creepy messages on the phone, and like who left the phone for him. It kind of feels like it becomes irrelevant to the movie at a point, and then the ending feels just kind of like, oh, okay, that's what the movie was doing. Okay, I guess if
like the ending brings up a thing that's like, oh, I mean, that's kind of interesting, but it would have been nice if we were talking about or doing this throughout the whole movie. Like, it feels like just a very weird, like, all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, by the way, here's what we're doing. Like, okay. Here's
a crazy ending, so you'll remember the movie. Like, but nothing feels built up to or earned. Very frustrating and bland time. And one of the worst things about doing a list like this is it'd be very easy to fill a lot of these entries out with, oh, here's another bland movie where nothing really happened. And we tried to limit that to a point where we put on head count because it was more interesting, because it was frustrating, because there was potential there. And obviously once we get into the top 5, we're going to get a bit more passionate about how much we hate some of these things, but there's always these kind of just lukewarm movies that you get throughout the year, and some are more egregiously boring than others, and I think this is unfortunately on the more boring end of the scale. So that is Wins. Number 6 is The Prodigy. This was a movie that we knew was going to be bad. It looked stupid. It was stupid. It was the kid who's possessed by a demon or ghost or no, it wasn't a demon. Sorry, because if I remember correctly, it was a murderer who was killed by police, and then the second he died was the same second that this kid was born, and yes, that was the setup of the movie.
So yeah, it's your normal creepy kid stuff, like you know, this kid's doing stuff, and you know, again, a lot of jump scares and loud music stings, bullshit stuff, and then it's just not interesting. It doesn't feel unique. It's not like something like it's not like they had like a cool angle or anything on it. I don't know. Yeah, this is just another one that's just very bland and boring, and yeah, just like came and went pretty fast.
It's a shit because once again, there's like a fleeting idea at one point where the mum thinks she has to kill someone to like feed the kid's desire to kill, and that'll end it. So it's like, okay, maybe that could be interesting, her trying to kill someone. Or there's a scene where a priest comes in to try and like figure out if he's like possessed or if there should be an exorcism or something like that. And what the kid threatens to do to the priest is actually kind of an interesting take, but unfortunately the rest of it is really bad. I mean, the trailer was really, I mean, if you remember the trailer, it was the kid walking down the hall, and then when he goes through the shadow, it turns into a fully grown man, and it's this jump scare. I think when we saw that teaser trailer, we were like, this is probably, we pretty much know exactly what this is going to be, and lo and behold, it was exactly what we thought it was going to be. So
yeah, I try to keep an open mind and give a benefit of a doubt usually, but come on, some stuff you just know. Like when you see the trailer, like, yep, it's gonna be that.
Yeah, this next one, actually, number 5, is interesting because I feel like this is one that I have seen some positive opinions on. I have definitely seen people who like this movie, but we were both really not into number 5, which is The Hole in the Ground, the Irish set movie.
Oh yeah, that was not good.
we thought this was honestly at points laughably bad. There's a hole in the forest sort of behind this house, and there's this little kid goes in it. Again, it's creepy kid stuff. What do we hate in horror, like supernatural horror movies these days? Almost always creepy kids are bad. And this kid goes out of the hole, comes back out, but it might not really be him anymore. And the mother slowly notices like moments where he's doing something a little evil, or he looks kind of evil, or. And I remember some of the moments in this making me laugh because the kid was trying to be creepy, and it was just it came off as comical. And yeah, that's my memory of this movie. I did not enjoy this at all.
No, I was pretty down on it, and when I was making the list, I was kind of looking at the movies throughout the year, and I came across this one, and honestly, I can barely recall most of what happened in it, other than I just remember really not liking it when we saw it. But yeah, no, I now that you're talking about, I'm like remembering a lot of dumb, stupid, scary kid stuff, which again is like, you really gotta have like a good angle if you're gonna do a creepy kid, because most of the time it just comes off as so boring and just the same thing we've seen over and over again. I'm just really done with creepy kids unless you can think of something like really interesting or new to do with them. But yeah, this one, I also just remember being painfully slow. I mean, a big problem with it.
It is set in Leprechaun land. I mean, maybe they could have done some sort of crossover to appease people like you.
I mean, most of the Leprechaun movies don't take place in Ireland. Like, it's only interesting when the Leprechaun goes overseas or in outer space or something.
You don't think Leprechaun in Ireland itself? Well, no, the problem with that is that Warwick Davis' horrible Irish accent would stick out, because all these real Irish accents would make it really obvious how bad it is.
He doesn't have an Irish accent. He has a Leprechaun accent.
What? Next, number 4. Maybe controversial, this one, but It Chapter 2 is our number 4 worst horror movie of the year of 2019, because honestly it is overlong. The horror scenes are over the top CGI nonsense that is not scary. They weren't really that good in the first movie either, but the first movie had better character stuff. This movie is like 2.5 hours long. The characters barely have anything to do. Somehow, like, I was shocked by how it fills 2.5 hours, yet feeling like it had less plot than most other horror movies. Like, I don't know how it achieved that, but it did. And then going back to the CGI point, there's a whole spider head sequence where I'm like, I saw this in The Thing with practical effects, and it looks so much better. This is terrible. I don't think Andy Muschietti is a good director for horror movies. I really don't. And this movie felt like it proved my point. And there's that one weird scene where I think they realized that it wasn't scary, so they tried to like put in like an ironic song to like cover it up and make it. This was meant to be a joke, but nothing else in the movie fits that tone. It's like this out of nowhere moment.
Weird.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're just gonna pick like our least favorite scenes of the year, that would probably be my least favorite scene. It was so dumb, and as I said before in the show, like I obviously everyone knows I'm a big Stephen King fan, and it is my favorite book, and it just feels like it shits all over it. The first one, I still like the first one as a movie, but like you said, it is more for the character stuff. Like the kids are very likable. The actors all give good performances, so it's more engaging to watch. And I think a lot of it is because they were probably still working off of the script from I forget the True Detective person's. I apologize, I forget their name.
Carrie Fukunaga. Took a second.
There you go. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, I imagine like the reason why chapter 1 is good is probably because all of that, because this one is just full Andy was it Muschietti?
Yeah.
You say Muschietti, and Gary Doberman working on the script, and I think it shows that everything is just ramped up to be much more bland and boring and generic. It's just has all the crimes of what you hate, or at least what horror fans hate in modern horror movies. I think casual audiences, I'm assuming, probably didn't mind this or whatever, but it just has like that bad CGI, the bullshit jump scares, and I think it does hurt the movies, splitting up the kids section and the adult section. I think it actually works a lot better in the book when it's interwoven, and great cast in this, which is like another thing that, like, the one thing that was kind of exciting about is that they got a lot of people that everyone was like, oh well, yeah, this person rules, maybe this movie will be good. But not even that cast, like, unfortunately couldn't save it. And it's just like so much dumb like stuff in it of just like like splitting people up, and then I feel like in the book, like everyone has like really distinctive personalities, and I feel like in this, like they really try to have like everyone just be like the loudmouth like brat and stuff, like like Eddie and Richie like feel like they're the same person, which is annoying. And then there's so much like jokes that like go on like too long. Like I love Stephen King. I like that he had a cameo in the movie, but it was just like it just went on like too long. It's like, all right, we get it. Yes, like, all right, you're making fun of yourself because you're playing a character saying that, hey, I don't like the author's books and stuff, like whatever. And yeah, it's criminal how long this movie is. It is so long when it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, and honestly, the ending is kind of problematic. There's like a weird, like.
Oh sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go into it because it's full on spoilers. But if you check out our review, we talk quite a bit about the ending and how it kind of has a weird message that feels a bit insensitive. So
yeah,
a lot of I have almost nothing positive. Bill Hader was good in the movie, I guess. I'll say that. Like, his character had the best stuff to do, but honestly, other than that, there's almost nothing of merit in that movie. It was a tedious 2.5 hours, and
like they do something interesting with his character that's not in the book that I'll give him credit for. But again, it feels like a very half-hearted attempt to do something like that. Like, it's not even like a big important part of the movie or anything. And yeah, it's just a shame. I mean, I'm not like surprised. That this happened, but because the people that were involved, and again, like, yeah, we said with the first movie, like the horror parts were the worst part of it, and then you get someone that's just like really ramping up all that stuff and doesn't have the nuance to like make interesting character choices and whatnot. It's just really big swing and a miss for this one.
Yep. So that is number 4. Number 3 is one we watched recently. It is The Gallows Act 2.
Oh boy.
Yeah, The Gallows returned, and I'm pretty sure. I don't know if we did a best of 2016, but or a worst of 2016, but if we did, I'm sure the first one was high.
Oh, it had to have been, yeah.
Gallows Act 2. Like, I'll give it this. It is at least funny bad. There's some genuinely funny scenes. Not intentionally funny, admittedly, but there's some intentionally funny scenes. But this is a movie that is not found footage like the first one, but it does try to incorporate the YouTube generation, the vlogging generation, into its plot. The Charlie Challenge. The main character finds the Gallows play, does some of the play on her YouTube show, and of course supernatural stuff starts happening. The ghost of Charlie seems to start doing stuff, but there is of course a lot of big twists at the end of this movie, which I will not spoil here, but let's just say the final twist, and I think I was expecting a part of a twist for a lot of the movie. I was not expecting it to go full hog the way it did at the ending. I was laughing hysterically for the last 2 minutes of this movie as it revealed what was going on, and just all the facets that were involved. It's a movie. It's a hell of a movie, Tim.
Yeah, I mean the first one was already really bad, and I can't imagine it was that successful. I mean, maybe it made money because it just had a cheap budget and people just saw a horror movie when it was out or whatever. But it's surprising that it even had a sequel that was in theaters. But yeah, no, there's nothing good about this. It's
wait, was the sequel in theaters? I thought it was just VOD.
Oh no, it was in theaters. At least around here it was.
Fair enough.
Mean, again, probably for 20 minutes. It probably had one showing and then was whoop, never mind. But no, I mean, yeah, it's awful. The characters all make dumb, stupid choices. Nobody looks like an actual teenager or talks or does anything like them. There's some really spotty CGI, which, I mean, like you said, at least it does make you laugh. One scene in particular was laughing for quite a bit.
That treehouse scene, the treehouse scene for sure.
And again, yeah, the ending is just the cherry on the cake or whatever, where it's just this was already so bad, but now this is so dumb and just raising more questions that I didn't have before, but whatever. That the implications of the ending are baffling.
Yeah, but... and the romance, the main character has a love interest, and he's right out of a Twilight knockoff. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
So that gives you all the sense of the vibes you want from that movie. So that is number 3. Number 2, the Conjuring universe keeps on delivering. The Curse of La Llorona.
Oh boy.
I'm going to be honest, Tim. I barely remember this movie. I just know I hated it. So if you want to take the reins here, you obviously. La Llorona takes kids. Mum's worried that her kids are going to be taken. The priest from Annabelle's in it, hence connecting it to the Annabelle and Conjuring universe. So
yeah, this is really bad. It is based off an actual Mexican urban legend, which I think is probably the most interesting part about it. Is once you see this dumb movie, you can look up the actual legend and be like, oh, this is cool. But no, I mean, again, just super bland and generic. A lot of shitty jump scares, and I mean, I think probably the worst thing about it is kind of the cultural appropriation, where it's all right, if you're gonna do a well-known Mexican urban legend, why not just have it be in Mexico again? We have I believe it was Linda Cardellini, I think is the mother in this, and it's kind of weird that it basically amounts to a movie about a white woman fighting a Mexican ghost. Well, it's a white woman who her job is child protective services, so she's usually responsible for separating families, and now she has to battle a Mexican ghost that's trying to take her babies, which is just kind of weird and problematic.
Yes, and of course every single Mexican character she talks to is an expert and knows exactly everything about La Llorona.
Oh yeah.
I just, it's one of those things. It reminds me of stuff like the other side of the door, where I think it was India, where the family were, somewhere like that. It's in that region,
or like the forest.
The forest, yeah, where she goes to Japan. Yeah, like it's always this weird. Like, the other culture's got this weird thing.
Yeah.
It's one of those tropes that from supernatural horror movies that I absolutely hate, and yeah. Well,
and it's just like, all right, these are interesting stories. Like, I think we've come to a point now where it's like, yeah, we could just do a movie that's not set in America, that doesn't have a white star. Like, it's
at the very least, obviously there's a big Latin community in, like, a lot of the US. Like, at least have it be a Hispanic family in LA if you're going to do that. Like, at least do that. I mean, I think when it comes to the Japanese forest, the suicide forest, I'm like, yeah, I would much rather see like a creepy Japanese movie about that than I would,
totally.
some American movie about, some white actor goes to Japan and is like, this is spooky. So frustrating. But yeah, Curse of La Llorona, terrible.
And then, like you said, the whole big selling point, like, to connect it to the Conjuring universe, it's like so like ham-fisted, like the way they do it, it's so forced.
It's basically it's like a rope that's been threaded, so there's just like one little strand of like string just holding it together with the rest of the universe. It's so tangential.
It'd be like if you're watching like a comic book movie and then like just halfway through the movie, when the character's like, this reminds me of the time I hung out with Iron Man. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute, this is a Marvel movie? Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like you don't even have to be Marvel to do that, though. I feel like you could literally just make a movie, have a character say that. I don't know, would you get sued for implying that you're in the MCU if all someone said was, oh yeah, I was with Mr. Stark recently. Yeah. But didn't say Tony. Like, you left Tony out of it, you just said Mr. Stark. Like, would you get in trouble? I don't know. So that's number 2, which takes us to our worst horror movie of 2019, which we did not debate. Hell, and this is the second King adaptation on this worst of list. This is Pet Sematary, the remake starring Jason Clarke, who I want to see in good movies so bad. He was in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, for goddamn sake. He should be in better movies, but instead he is in trash. He was in Winchester the year before. Now he's in Pet Sematary 2019. I mean, who knows what crap he's going to be in 2020, but
this was another one that hurt. I mean, I think 2019, it was supposed to be the year of King, and I mean, we did get some good stuff, which we'll go into later, but like, this was painful. And I mean, I know you don't like the original one, but I love the original Pet Sematary.
It's better than this one.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. I don't think anyone would really argue that, but it's also such a weird case because, the first one is really faithful to the book, to the point where Stephen King actually wrote the screenplay. So I feel like the only reason you would need to do a remake of something like this would be if like the original source material had like, major changes, so that you'd basically be making a different movie, or if at the time you are so limited by technology that there's certain stuff that you couldn't do. But that's not the case with this one. Like this one was much more faithful and looked so much better than this one. And so it's obvious the only reason why they did it is a cash grab, because King was starting to get hot with other stuff. But
yeah, because it made a lot of money. Honestly, the thing that baffles me about this movie, obviously it's full of all the things I don't like in movies. It's got all those remake problems, just retreading the same ground. But I couldn't believe how bad some of it looked. Like, there's a couple of scenes in the forest where it was like, this is clearly a soundstage. Like, what? Like, why does this look so fake? It's like, what are you doing? This is a big, well, not a big budget, but it's a Hollywood movie. It's got a reasonable budget.
Yeah, and like in the original, they literally did go to Maine and film like stuff in the woods. Which again, like, looks a lot better. And I'm not saying they have to actually go to Maine, but I'm pretty sure it can't be like too hard for like a big movie to film a couple of scenes in the woods.
Yeah. Really frustrating. And obviously I wanted to like it because John Lithgow's in it and Jason Clarke's in it. Like, we have cast members who I like. Everything with Jason Clarke's journey as the Doctor who doesn't believe in anything, but he's shown this cemetery that can bring something back to life. He does it with the cat, and then of course the kid dies, which isn't a spoiler. That's the plot of the movie. Is that one of the kids die, and he obviously is tempted to try and resurrect the kid. And there's several things, I won't say what they are for spoiler's sake, but there's several things that are changed, and it feels like they're just changed for the sake of change, so it's different from the original.
That's just that's exactly what I was just gonna say. It's they make significant changes to it, but again, it doesn't feel like out of a story perspective or because it's to get a new interesting angle, which I mean they'll probably tell you that's why they do it, but I mean honestly it's just because they need to change it so it's at least different from the other version we've seen. And it's not like those changes couldn't be interesting, but it doesn't amount to anything. Like, it just it's like, oh, okay, this isn't like different but good or different but interesting, it's just different.
Yep, that sums it up. That is our number one worst movie of 2019. Worst horror movie, at least. I'm not going to say it was my worst movie, although it might be close. I don't know. I'd have to check. But that is it. That's our 10 worst horror movies of 2019. So if there's some stuff you're thinking, but you hated this too, yeah, there was a lot of stuff that we thought that just didn't make the list. There was another 10 of just really mediocre movies that were kind of considered. Didn't quite get there, but I think ultimately this is. I mean, if I was going to throw out some honorable mentions for this, I would say that I really didn't like In the Tall Grass either. The Intruder was pretty bad. Silence wasn't that good. There's I don't know if there's any honorable mentions you want to throw out.
I know we disagreed on this one, but I really, really did not like Happy Death Day to You. Like that one, to the point where it really bugged me.
I mean, there was so many worse movies than Happy Death Day to You, but yeah.
I mean, there's definitely other stuff that was worse than it, but it still would be up there for me. I don't know. I feel like there's others. The problem is I do think there's other bad stuff, but it kind of if it's bad but not memorable, you just kind of quickly forget about it. Gallows sucks, but I'm not gonna forget it anytime soon.
Oh sure.
I did watch Polaroid, which was on Netflix. That was pretty bad, but I mean, again, it was just kind of bullshit generic stuff.
Yeah. Well, hopefully 2020 ends up faring better by the end of the year. I would say by the time you'll get to this March next year. Sure. Hopefully 2020 has fared better. So yeah, let us know what your picks for the worst horror movies of 2019 is what I'm trying to say. Let us know what your worst horror movies of 2019 are in the comments below. Like and subscribe. You can of course support everything we do by going to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and supporting us for as little as $1 per month. You get a bonus movie review from Screams After Midnight every month for that $1. There's a whole back catalogue now you can go check out. Of course at the $5 tier you get to vote on a movie once per month, and you get a day early access to all the movie review episodes. So go and have a look and see if you're interested. But otherwise, rate the podcast on Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars, like, subscribe, usual stuff. All of it does help, so thank you once again for watching. Look out, of course, for our top 10 horror movies of 2019, which is coming next. So thank you very much for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, guys, and we will see you next time.